The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. These words are not poetry, they are authority. When you declare them, you are aligning yourself with divine economy, not earthly shortage. You are announcing that your source is not the system, not the salary, not the stock market. Your source is Jehovah Rohi, the shepherd who provides before you even ask. When you confess this with revelation, the atmosphere around you begins to change. Doors that were shut begin to open. Resources begin to locate you. When David wrote the words, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," he was not writing poetry. He was declaring revelation. This was not a man sitting comfortably in a palace. This was a man who had walked through wilderness, hunger, and rejection. He had felt the sting of loneliness, the pain of betrayal, and the weight of uncertainty. Yet, from that place of brokenness, David uttered a truth that shattered the spirit of lack. The Lord is my shepherd. In these few words lies the greatest revelation about divine provision that humanity could ever receive. God is not only your creator, He is your shepherd. He doesn't just command you, He walks beside you. He doesn't simply bless you, He feeds you. He doesn't just lead from afar, He provides from within His own heart. A shepherd doesn't wait for his sheep to cry. He knows their needs before they speak. That is the essence of divine provision. When you truly understand that the Lord is your shepherd, fear begins to lose its voice. Anxiety starts to fade away. Because the foundation of lack is fear. The fear of not having enough, the fear of being forgotten, the fear of not making it through tomorrow. But when your heart receives this truth, the Lord is my shepherd, that fear dissolves. Because the shepherd has already gone before you. He knows the path, the pasture, the provision, and the protection. The Hebrew word for shepherd in this passage is rohi. It means the one who tends, nurtures, and provides. It paints a picture of deep care, not distant authority. God is not a boss giving you orders. He is a shepherd guiding you into abundance. He doesn't send you to find water. He leads you beside still waters. He doesn't push you into green pastures. He makes you lie down there. Everything about His nature is intentional care. When the Lord becomes your shepherd, lack becomes an intruder. Because where the shepherd walks, provision flows. The spirit of lack cannot survive in the same atmosphere where the shepherd is present. His presence itself is prosperity. His voice carries increase. His guidance creates multiplication. The spirit of lack is not just about empty pockets. It's about disconnected hearts. It's about living as though you are your own provider. When people disconnect from divine guidance, they step into self-dependence. And self-dependence always leads to insufficiency. But those who follow the shepherd lack nothing because they draw from an infinite source. You see, sheep never worry about tomorrow. They never sit in the field wondering, what will we eat next week? Their confidence lies in the shepherd. And this is the secret the enemy doesn't want you to know. Prosperity begins with trust. The measure of your provision is the measure of your dependence on Him. The modern world teaches you to depend on systems, to trust in the job, the degree, the economy, the network. But God says, I am your shepherd. The moment you shift your dependency from man to God, you exit the system of scarcity and enter the realm of divine supply. You begin to see favor in unexpected places. You start to receive opportunities you didn't apply for. You find strength to create, to build, to expand, because you are no longer functioning from fear, you are functioning from faith. When the Lord is truly your shepherd, your identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as a struggler trying to make it, and you start seeing yourself as a sheep cared for by the King of Glory. And when identity shifts, reality follows. You stop chasing provision and start attracting it, because provision follows order, divine order. As long as the sheep stays within the shepherd's leading, provision follows automatically. David said, I shall not want. These words are not a wish, they are a declaration of covenant reality. I shall not want means I refuse to live under the lie of lack. It means I am not bound by the economic systems of this world. It means the supply of heaven is my inheritance. Every time you speak these words with revelation, you enforce the will of heaven over your circumstances. You remind your spirit that God is not limited by what you see. Think about it. David had every reason to feel lack. He was once a fugitive, hiding in caves, hunted by Saul, with no wealth, no palace, and no visible security. Yet he said, I shall not want, because he knew that provision is not about possessions, it's about connection. You can have nothing in your hand and still have abundance in your heart when the shepherd is leading you. When God leads you, He doesn't only give you what you need, He becomes what you need. When you're thirsty, He becomes water. When you're weak, He becomes strength. When you're lost, He becomes direction. When you're surrounded by enemies, He becomes your defense. Every lack in your life becomes an opportunity for Him to reveal another dimension of His sufficiency. This is why He calls Himself Jehovah Jireh, the God who sees ahead and provides. Before Abraham reached the mountain with Isaac, the ram was already caught in the thicket. Before you faced that challenge, the answer was already waiting in your future. God is never reacting to your need. He's always ahead of it. He doesn't prepare the provision when you ask. He prepared it when He called you. When you say, "The Lord is my shepherd," you are making a statement of divine ownership. You are declaring, I belong to Him. And ownership determines responsibility. The shepherd is responsible for the sheep. That means your welfare, your guidance, your supply, your safety, all of it is His responsibility. You are not designed to carry the weight of worry. You are designed to rest in His care. Some of you have been working tirelessly, trying to make ends meet, trying to force doors open, trying to control outcomes. But the shepherd is saying, if you will let me lead, I will provide. Your job is not to make things happen. Your job is to follow His voice, because every command He gives carries provision within it. When He told Peter to cast his net on the other side, the fish were already waiting there. Obedience releases overflow. Provision is always tied to divine instruction. Every time God speaks, He provides. If you're living in lack, it's not because God has stopped giving. It may be because you've stopped listening. The shepherd never stops speaking, but sometimes the noise of fear, worry, and control drowns out His voice. That's why Psalm 23 begins with relationship. The Lord is my shepherd, before it talks about provision, because provision is the fruit of relationship. When the shepherd leads, He doesn't take shortcuts. Sometimes He will lead you through dry valleys to show you that He is still water. Sometimes He will lead you through scarcity to reveal Himself as your source. Every season has a purpose. The seasons of lack are not punishment. They are preparation. They teach you dependence. They refine your trust. They shift your focus from what's missing to who is leading. If you can see the shepherd in the valley, you'll never fear the shadow of lack. Because valleys don't last, the shepherd keeps moving. He's not a stationary provider. He's a moving miracle worker. He doesn't leave you in the same place where you started. He is always leading you higher, deeper, further. The moment you recognize the Lord as your shepherd, you begin to operate under a supernatural economy. Heaven's provision is not limited by earthly systems. In the wilderness, Israel had no farms, no wells, no trade. Yet every morning, manna fell. That was not natural supply. That was divine provision. God was showing them, you are not sustained by what's around you. You are sustained by who's with you. And that same principle applies today. You may not have all the connections, but you have the shepherd. You may not have a big bank account, but you have the shepherd. You may not know how the next bill will be paid, but the shepherd already saw it. The moment you begin to trust His provision, supernatural supply begins to flow into natural places. Provision is not limited to money. It includes ideas, wisdom, relationships, opportunities, peace, and favor. God provides in dimensions that go beyond what currency can measure. Sometimes His provision will come as a divine connection, someone who speaks your name in the right room. Sometimes it comes as wisdom, a strategy that multiplies what you already have. Sometimes it comes as peace, the calm assurance that God is in control even when circumstances look uncertain. When you recognize that the Lord is your shepherd, you stop begging heaven and start partnering with it. You move from prayer that pleads to prayer that proclaims. You stop asking for what's already promised. You begin to decree, I shall not want, and heaven backs your declaration. The shepherd responds to faith, not fear. Faith is not ignoring reality. It is aligning with divine truth above reality. You may see the bank account, but you also see the shepherd. You may see the shortage, but you know the source. Faith is the lens that keeps you connected to heaven's economy. Every miracle begins with a mind that refuses to agree with lack. The shepherd never leads without provision in mind. Before he tells you to go, he's already placed supply along the way. Before Elijah reached the brook, the ravens were already assigned. Before Israel reached the Red Sea, the path beneath the waters was already prepared. Provision is not a reaction, it's a plan. There's a reason David didn't say, "The Lord provides for men, but the Lord is my shepherd." Because provision is not something God does, it's who he is. If you only see him as a provider, you will chase provision. But if you see him as the shepherd, provision will chase you. You cannot separate his presence from his supply. When he walks into your life, lack walks out. The spirit of lack thrives on forgetfulness. It wants you to forget what God has done, forget who he is, and forget what he promised. But the sheep who remember their shepherd never fear the journey. Memory is a weapon against scarcity. Every time you recall his faithfulness, you break the power of fear. Your shepherd is not limited by what you see. He operates in the unseen. Right now, while you are praying, he is already arranging divine connections, aligning timing, positioning people, preparing places. You may not see it yet, but the shepherd is working behind the scenes. His provision is in motion even before you move. When you truly grasp that, you begin to live differently. You stop panicking over what's missing and start praising for what's coming. You begin to see that every need is an invitation to witness his supply. You realize that provision is not seasonal, it's covenantal. And as long as the shepherd leads, you shall not want. Because the Lord is not an occasional provider. He is the master of provision. He owns the earth and everything in it. He created abundance before you ever felt need. He has rivers in deserts, bread in famine, and favor in drought. He multiplies loaves, fills nets, and opens heavens. His provision is not based on your effort. It's based on his nature, and his nature does not change. When you make the Lord your shepherd, you step into rest. You stop striving to survive and start living to overflow. You begin to understand that your value is not measured by what you possess, but by who possesses you. You are the sheep of his pasture, and he takes joy in providing for you. His care is not occasional, it's continual. His eyes are always on you. His hand is never short. His heart is always open. When you live under the shepherd's care, you become unshakable in times of crisis. The world may panic, but you stay in peace. Others may worry about the economy, but you remember, your shepherd never files bankruptcy. His kingdom never collapses. His supply never runs dry. And as you walk with him, he teaches you to see abundance in unlikely places. He shows you that provision is not always in what you see, but in what you believe. He leads you to discover resources hidden in plain sight. He awakens creativity, gives you divine strategies, and opens your spiritual eyes to possibilities that others overlook. Every day you wake up under his care is another opportunity to experience his supply. The Lord is your shepherd, the master of provision. And in his pasture, lack cannot dwell, fear cannot root, and scarcity cannot speak. His presence alone silences the voice of want, because wherever the shepherd walks, abundance follows, beloved. When you walk with the shepherd, you don't chase provision, you carry it. You don't beg heaven for what's already been promised, you declare it. The Lord is not studying your situation, he's already solved it. He's not waiting for you to earn his favor, he's waiting for you to believe his word. The Lord is your shepherd. That means provision is not a possibility, it's a promise. And today, every spirit of lack, every voice of insufficiency, every fear of not enough must bow to that truth. You have a shepherd who never sleeps, never fails, never runs out, and never forgets. So lift your head, speak his word, walk with boldness. You are not alone in the field. The shepherd walks before you. You are not forsaken in the valley. The shepherd fights for you. You are not forgotten in your need. The shepherd provides for you.